Hey everybody, today I'm back at Bob Thomas again. Today we're doing a little something different. I know a lot of you guys buy these trucks and buy them loaded up, and that's fine, and sometimes you guys maybe can't buy them loaded at that time or want to save a little money because they give extra deals on the XL models or something. Well, this particular truck today we're going to install a backup camera, and it's going to be using a factory Ford camera. And it's going to be installed on the 4-inch display. So this is a XLT base truck, and typically on the 15s the camera is going to be right here in this location. So we're going to go ahead and add the camera to that location, and then we're going to have it run to the factory screen here, so it'll actually display up here. And how we do that is actually we run the wire. If you buy this from me, it'll have a harness and everything ran, for you to run. And then I provide a couple of options. This is one of them. This is a harness that basically makes it just plug in, and you don't have to do anything. Now, is this necessary on these trucks? Not really. I mean, it really isn't. It's pretty simple without it, because all you do is you add the pins here in this connector. You would have to disassemble. This is the factory connector that plugs into the display, so you would just have to disassemble and pull this out and pop 2 pins in with with whatever attached to your wire, those 2 proper pins. And I give you the option. You can either buy this little pigtail, or you can buy just an RCA with the proper pins, and you just insert those pins and you're good to go. I just like this harness just because I just don't like having to modify or cut anything, because sometimes those pins are populated and sometimes they're not. But this way, either way, you can just go like it was never there if you wanted to. But anyways, it's just a real simple plug-in type situation. So like I said, we're going to use a factory Ford camera. The reason why I use the factory Ford is they just have a great picture, and plus you get that OEM look. You get the red, yellow, green, the center line, you get all that, and in low light situations they're great, and they're really not that expensive. So if you were to call me and say you wanted this kit, I can provide it all to you already harnessed up or not harnessed with the proper pigtail that goes to it. And then I'll show you how to take this apart and add the camera here as well. But for those that don't have camera, it's a nice solution, because and it looks factory, so you can't really beat it and it's really not that expensive. The factory camera, don't let it fool you, it's not that expensive. It's not really all that bad. So if you want to add it to this screen, essentially what the options I have are, if you have a way to modify or pull in a file, I can send you a file. I could, I have these displays in stock as well, so I can actually ship you a display and you ship me yours back, and then I just ship you one already programmed. And it's really the best way to go. If you go the other way and don't modify and program the screen, you can lose it, or a module goes bad. It's not exactly the best way. If you program it to be backup camera, you'll never lose it. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna get started on running all this stuff, and I'll get with y'all here in a little bit. The first thing we got to do is basically pull this handle out. In order to do that, we got to pull these torques here. There's 8 torques, and you pull those torques out, and you have access to this panel behind this panel to pull the tailgate handle off. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull those out, and I'll be right back. So I pulled the panel off. They were T25s, so that way they're all T25 screws. So now to get the tailgate handle off, there's a 10mm in these two holes here. So you got to get kind of a bit of an extension, and you just get down in there and do those 10s, and then that's the only bolts that hold it on. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those out. And all right, so I pulled those 10s out, and your next step is going to be to actually pull the handle, and there's 2 clips. You got to pull it from the top because there's two longer clips here. If you try and pull it from the bottom, you'll break those. And then once you pull that, there's this handle tab here. You just want to, you know, undo that and pull it, and now you've got the handle. Okay, so this is where your options come in. You have the option to either go buy like a factory 15 handle that has the camera cut hole in it already, or you can just drill a hole that accommodates the camera. The handle's not that expensive. It's about, you know, 60, 70 bucks, but it does add cost. So if you're in a budget mind, then, you know, it doesn't hurt to save the money. So you can just basically center up and drill a hole in the center here, and then, you know, attach the camera. So I'll show you. Okay, so I'm back. I'm just doing this as an example for those of you that don't want to replace your handle, but you know, here I will be. But so I drilled a hole, okay, that fits this. I just used a unibit, so it's nice and clean, you know, it's super sharp. So essentially what you would do is there's a flat spot here. You just would essentially lay this camera in right there in that flat spot, and then just set it to where it's at the proper depth, and you can't even tell. So you just would epoxy that in, and this camera weighs nothing, so you just essentially epoxy that camera in, and you're set to go. So basically, once you get the harness, you run it down through these channels here, and it'll come out here. You don't have to drill any holes. All this is already here. So now this is entirely up to you. You know, if you want to have a disconnect at the tailgate, that's up to you. I don't usually do them. I mean, if you're somebody who takes your tailgate off, then you can do that. I don't typically add them. I've never really had a request to, but you know, if you have to have that for some reason, then you just, if you want the harness pre-made, then you just have to let me know so I can, you know, add that on. But then here's your connector for the camera. You'll plug it in, and then what we're going to do now is just start to tie this up underneath here along with the factory harness. You know, there's a factory harness that runs along the driver's side frame rail. So we'll just zip tie to that all the way up to the front, and then I'll show you where I come in at on the truck. Alright, so I followed this harness here, zip tied, and then there's a spot right here where a rubber grommet is. So I ran it up through there, and it just comes out right there. So then essentially we just run what's left to the radio and grab power, and that's it. So I'm gonna put the grommet back in, just slice it a little bit for the wire, and move on to taking the dash apart. Alright, so now I've moved inside here, and I'm gonna start to take the front part apart. So you just start with those two 7s back there, and then get those out. And then you can basically come up here and just unclip this. There's just 3 clips. Undo these 2 here. Undo those 2 7s. And then pull that, and then that basically all comes off just like that. And you can unplug the 2 top ones and leave it hang, and then you have access to the screen. And alright, so now I got it all apart, and now here's the connector. So this connector would be the one you'd have to take apart and insert a couple of pins. And on this truck, they're already populated. See the white and brown there? They're already there. So to me, it's why it's just a little easier to just try and do this one-handed here, if I can. That's why it's easier to just do this. See, You plug that in and boom, just plug in your camera and you've got video in. So that way you're not having to do a whole lot of taking it apart or add pins or anything like that, because once you connect that, you're ready to go now. And so I'm basically going to plug everything in and we'll be back. Alright guys, so I got the camera done. I'm sorry I just kind of got carried away and forgot I was doing a video. I'm still getting used to this, but so I put everything back together. You really didn't miss much. I mean, just running a harness, which I kind of covered. But here's what everybody's wanting to see is that the camera. So that's what everybody's looking for, and so as you can see, it all works on the factory screen there. So I know that's what everybody's wanting, but anyways guys, so there you have it. If you're interested in adding the backup camera to any of your Fords, just let me know. I can help you out, point you, in the right direction, and then, program your screen or whatever for you. I mean, there's no point in paying the money you would pay these companies that provide those modules just to do that. It's not worth it, guys. I can do it for much, much less. So just reach out to me and contact me. My email address is down below. So thanks guys for watching and subscribing and supporting. So I appreciate it.